Thank you so much for having us. It was an honor to co-moderate that debate. We really appreciate it. Ronna McDaniel, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Good to see you.
Former RNC chair Ronna McDaniel will be making her return to NBC News this weekend, not as a guest, but as a contributor for the network. It was announced earlier today that McDaniel, who stepped down as the chairwoman of the RNC earlier this month, would be joining NBC News as an on-air contributor. McDaniel will start in her role on Sunday with an appearance on Meet the Press with Kirsten Welker. She will sit for an interview, her first since stepping down last month. As the New York Times puts it, the hire adds a reliably conservative voice to NBC's stable of political analysts. McDaniel is also expected to provide commentary on MSNBC, NBC's left-leaning cable cousin, and a network that former President Donald J. Trump and his allies often accuse of being an arm of the Democratic Party. In addition to providing commentary for NBC News, McDaniel will also appear on NBC specifically for their campaign and election night programming. The network said that McDaniel's role represents an ongoing commitment to featuring a variety of voices who can offer firsthand insight on today's politics. Carrie Budoff Brown, who oversees NBC's political coverage, wrote in a memo, "It couldn't be a more important moment to have a voice like Ronna's on the team. McDaniel will provide an insider's perspective on national politics and the future of the Republican Party." Cenk and Trey, MSNBC, this is the progressive champion network, right? Why are they hiring a conservative?
Yes, in Washington, MSNBC is considered liberal or left-wing, which I find to be hilarious, as you can tell. A lot of mainstream media don't give you honest news. We do. You know why? Because of you. Paid membership on YouTube makes all the difference. Hit the join button below, and you become the hero that sustains us. So let's break this down. They are correct when they say she's going to provide an insider's perspective. And boy, that'll be such a big change at MSNBC because there's no other insider perspective there. This is going to be new. Could you hire one person with an outsider's perspective? Is that too much to ask for? And apparently the answer is yes. So why bother hiring someone that ran one of the two political parties? Wouldn't they be biased by definition? Of course. In fact, they're going to be paying her to do Republican propaganda. But then if you're thinking, wait a minute, I heard from all the people in Washington that MSNBC is so left-wing. Why would they hire the head of the other party? Well, I got bad news for you. If you don't know this, an enormous percentage of MSNBC's anchors and contributors are actually Republicans. So of course, Joe Scarborough was a literal former Republican congressman and still believes everything that he believed as a Republican. He just doesn't like Donald Trump. And Nicole Wallace was literally the communications director for George W. Bush, the mouthpiece for one of the most conservative, right-wing, and awful administrations of our lifetime. Now she's a beloved lib on MSNBC. I find all of this hilarious. And then, of course, they also have the former RNC chair, Michael Steele. So what are they all going to say on air? What executives want them to say? They're all hired to say the same exact thing, no matter where they came from. So, and Ronna McDaniel is already aligned with them because they're not representing the left. That's only fools in Washington believe that. And unfortunately, good people in the country that don't know better and that have never watched anything but TV have been hoodwinked into thinking that that's the left. No, they represent the uniparty. So corporate Democrats and corporate Republicans have come together in the epicenter of the establishment, which is MSNBC. And so Ronna McDaniel is in that sense a perfect fit there. She's gonna do the same exact thing, which is, on social issues, we're good people. We don't wanna hate black people or gay people. And she'll pretend the Republicans never did and that Trump doesn't, etc. And she'll whitewash the Republican Party. And then on anything that relates to corporate issues, she will join as every other pundit and every other anchor on MSNBC, CNN, and Fox News and say, no student debt being paid off, no higher minimum wage, no health care for you guys, nothing for the average American, but nothing but deregulation and corporate tax cuts. So I guess in a sense, everyone in the building at MSNBC is saying, welcome home, Ronna.
Well, first of all, apropos of nothing, every time I see her name, it makes me want to go into a Scottish brogue because when I was in Inverness, I met a very drunk lassie named Ronna McDonough from Nairn. And that was a fun time at the bar. And every time I see Ronna McDaniel, I just want to start talking like this for some. I used to, as I didn't see it. Anyway, I'm not going to keep doing that. It just pops into my brain every time her name comes up. I think it's funny. I've always thought it's funny. Like she complains, it's like this lady can't even get all these slavering, wild-eyed lunatics elected to higher office. We need to get someone competent in there, like a member of the Trump family. It's just more evidence of them, again, seemingly willfully tearing themselves apart from the inside, which of course I'm all here for. As far as her getting this job, like I agree with pretty much everything you said about it, Jank, about MSNBC and all that. I feel like her going there is just like a drop in the bucket as far as all the things that I feel are wrong with the current state of mainstream cable news media. So it's not like I'm surprised by it or anything. I mean, like you said, the Michael Steele had the same job. He's been over there. So I don't think anybody should be surprised by it. But I agree with your takes on it, though. But yeah, Ronna McDaniel. Back to you, Jordan.
We see how they treat every once in a while. They have one progressive on a panel, and they'll shut them down really quick, even if they have a progressive on a panel. But I think what's really important, and when they're talking about honing their political analysis going into an election season, I think it's really important that they brought her on so they have yet another analyst to talk about why Democrats need to continue to move to the right, why it's important for the party, important for voters, important for the country. It's just so good that they're thinking clearly and logically about the need for strong liberal voices like Ronna McDaniel on the network to talk about shifting the party to the right. That's a really good thing.
Okay, a lot of sarcasm here. All right, last couple of quick things on what you both said. I've been to Inverness, and so you're talking my language there, Trey. But I think of a different name every time I think Ronna McDaniel. You know what I'm going to say? I thought she was dating the Hamburglar.
Yes, right.
Because every time I think Ronald McDonald, although yes, Trump does kind of have Ronald McDonald covered and might be dating the Hamburglar. Okay, so now onto the serious stuff. Look, guys, this whole thing is a mirage anyway, to Jordan's point. Corporate media is a mirage, MSNBC is a mirage. They make all of media sound like cable news is so important because everybody's watching cable news. Cable news is so representative, and the rest of the entire media ecosystem is centered around cable news. And that's why when they take off all the progressives from on air and the so-called left-wing channel hires nothing but Republicans, it's not helpful because that mirage unfortunately does work. And by the way, who did they let go of recently? Mehdi Hasan. So if you've heard me say dozens of times on the show, the one actual true progressive they had on air was Mehdi Hasan. Now he's gone and he's replaced by the head of the RNC. I mean, nothing says MSNBC more than that exchange right there. But the reason why I say it's a mirage is because, guys, at this point, barely anybody's watching cable news. And the average age of an MSNBC viewer is around 68 years old. And no disrespect to anyone who's 68 or older, but is that the majority of the country? Of course not, it's not even close. The actual programming goes to a very small number of elderly people in this country. And that's also true of CNN and Fox News. But they dominate the rest of the media, and they have an amplifier effect where everything they said is blasted out as if it's super important. And that is corporate media all working together. It's not a memo, it's not a conspiracy, but it's groupthink. They all work together to push out a pro-corporate message from the Uniparty. And so corporate Republicans and corporate Democrats are almost all of cable news, no matter where they are. And the whole point of that is to trick you into voting for corporate agenda, which is mainly a right-wing agenda. That's why MSNBC is now filled to the rim with former Republicans who are pushing right-wing propaganda, pretending to be left-wingers. That's good cop, bad cop, and how you get robbed blind.
Thanks for watching. If you become a member, you get to watch all this ad-free, except for, of course, this ad. Still, hit the join button below.